But an interesting answer. I'd say a predictable one, if I'm being fair, from Matt Ryan. I like it because I'm on that side of the argument. He learned by playing. And, of course, he's going to answer it that way. He got thrown out there week 1. I believe Matt Ryan was also the number 3 pick, if I'm not mistaken. He was the 3rd overall pick. And he inherited a team that wasn't very good and went 11-5 as a rookie. So I'll double-check what the Falcons were in 2007. I just looked it up and backed away from it. I think they were 4-12. They had the number 3 pick. So the Patriots were a 4-win team. They had the number 3 pick. Matt Ryan was on a 4-win team that had the number 3 pick. And he went out and won 11-5 in year 1, was the rookie of the year. And Matt Ryan didn't have a losing season until 2013. So Matt Ryan never won a Super Bowl. I'm sure people will throw that in his face. Yeah, how was he against Brady? He was terrible like everybody else. So, I mean, he couldn't beat Tom Brady. What a great, great, grave strike against Matt Ryan. But he was league MVP, and he got to a Super Bowl, and he was in the playoffs a bunch and made some Pro Bowls and, had a pretty good career. And they didn't ruin him by throwing him out there early. In fact, they got better. Instead of playing some retread backup quarterback over him, they let him go out there and learn. And so, look, I thought it was an interesting answer from Matt Ryan. But again, I'm biased because I'm on that side of the argument.
To be honest, I'm moving closer and closer to that, though. I think if you talked to me a couple years ago, probably around the Mac Jones training camp, I would have said, yeah, it's just better in a lot of cases for quarterbacks to sit. But just watching guys, be it Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud, even back with Baker Mayfield, I do think that there is a little bit to, if a guy's got it, you're at least going to see real flashes of it. If a guy's Zach Wilson, within the first season that he's Zach Wilson and it's not really going anywhere.
Yeah, I think there's value in knowing early. And it's let's say you played Drake Maye all year and he looked like Zach Wilson. Would I pull the ripcord? I mean, I'd like to say no, but how bad are they and where's the pick and who's the quarterback in the next draft? Come talk to me. Maybe it is Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray. Not that Kyler Murray's been the greatest quarterback ever, but I think the Cardinals...
Better than Josh Rosen.
Right, I think the Cardinals made the right call not sticking with Josh Rosen is my point. So I'd like to know early. I think there's value in knowing early. And if May has a terrible rookie year and plays all year, well, then he's on thin ice. It's analogous to Bryce Young in Carolina.
I was about to say, it's kind of like what you're about to go through with Bryce Young this year.
Bryce Young, and Carolina didn't have a first-round pick because they moved up to take him, but Bryce Young is on notice, and he had a terrible rookie season. If he has another bad year, he's done. And you knew that early. You didn't wait until December of his rookie year, and then the next year is really his first year as a starter, and then have you married yourself to him for another year after that? Now you're really, really wasting time. So I think there's value in knowing early, and I think you know early with these quarterbacks. A lot of them, if it's not year 1, you know by year 2, and then it's done.
I still maintain that doesn't mean that he needs to be out there week 1.
No, that's true.
I think that he can be out there. We were just looking over the schedule. If it's weeks 5 or 6, week 5 still feels a little early to me because we're talking 2 months from now, and this is the first good padded practice that we've heard that he's had in training camp. It's so early. I think I heard Andy Hart call it fine plus. That's the grade he gave it.
I don't like that.
A little bit better than fine. Fine plus.
Fine plus.
Okay.
That sounds like a really lame streaming service.
I was going to say it sounds like a grocery store I don't want to shop at.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, it's fine plus. So does that sound like somebody who I want in there starting week 5? Probably not. But I could, things change, and I could see it if it's sometime after the London game, if it's week 11 or something like that, and then you play him all the way through. You don't bench him. You just keep going with the kid and hoping that he figures it out in real time. Yeah, I can see that side of the street, absolutely.
I would like for it to be what you're saying, Jones, that they're not trying to waste time and that they're trying to get him out there and let him play and see what they got and all that. But if that's not what the plan is, then they have to be fair to Drake Maye. You have to, if your plan is that you're going to sit him most of the year and that you're going to wait and see really what happens in year 2 and he doesn't look great in year 1, then you have to be consistent with that. Well, we weren't expecting him to be good in year 1, so year 2 is really when it all starts. I don't like that. I mean, I'm going to get impatient. We're all going to get impatient about that. But if that's what their plan is for Drake Maye, I'd rather they stick to a plan than just sort of, fly by the seat of their pants. I'd rather they have a plan and stick to it than just sort of shift in the middle and say, okay, we were going to go slow with you, but now we're going fast and you're not good enough yet, so we're going to move on to the next guy. I don't think that's fair to him.
Okay, that's fine. And I do think they should have a plan. But if their plan is he's not ready in year one, then I don't see a lot of value in throwing him out there in December, right? Like if you don't think he's ready, then you can't really play him at any point this year, right? Is that fair to say? If you don't think he's ready, I think
You think there's no possibility that he'll get more ready as the year goes on?
I mean, maybe, but if you're sitting here going, we're going to redshirt this guy for the year, then you should redshirt him for the year, is I guess what I'm saying. I don't think.
Well, yeah, you don't start him like week 16.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of people are like, start him after the bye week. That's week 14 or 15.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the difference?
That feels too late.
So right. Like, to me, if you think he needs to redshirt and then you get to the bye week and you're like, let's give him a few weeks, I don't think there's a ton of value in that. And I think if you can play him in year one, even if it's after the bye, then that means you could have played him earlier than you did. And I would lean towards what Matt Ryan said, throwing the kid out there, because I do think you learn more on the job. And I'll give you again the example I said yesterday. People say all the time, Brady learned a ton by sitting in 2000.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the surgeons again.
No, we can do that if you'd like. But he learned a ton by sitting in 2000, which people say. But I think he learned more by actually playing in 2001. And by the way, he didn't beat out Bledsoe at any point. He was thrown in there. Before they thought he was ready, he was thrown in there, and he handled it. And he learned on the fly in 2001, and he got better as the year went along. And from there, he got better year after year after year. And so I think that's evidence. For as much as he sat for a year, I think you learn by playing, largely. I think most quarterbacks learn by playing, and you either have it or you don't. And we're going to find out with this kid, hopefully early. But I agree with you, Mego. It does not have to be week one. Selfishly, I want it to be week one. I think they should do it week one. It looks less and less like they're going to do it week one. Because, again, Jacoby Brissett got way more reps than he did today. For the first time, they were about 2-1 in competitive periods and almost 3-1 in 11-on-11.
I feel like you're the Homer Simpson gif right now, backing into the shrubbery from your he's got to start week one take.
No, I want him to start week one. I said he will. I'm backing away from he will start week one. That's what I'm backing away from, because I'm just following the practices, and I put stock in these practices. I put stock in preseason. I did it with the Red Sox. I bought in on the Red Sox in part because they had a good spring training. And so I pay attention to that stuff. I don't think it's irrelevant. I know a lot of people go, they're meaningless games and they don't count. I think all this stuff matters. I think you could see it with Mac a few years ago. I think you could, and I'm talking about his rookie year when it was good. I think you could see it the next year in training camp when it was really bad with Patricia and Judge. I don't ignore this stuff. I think it's important, and I can't ignore the reps. I can look past a little bit, a bad day for Drake Maye here and a bad day for Drake Maye there if the reps are similar, and they had been until today. Today they weren't. And so
you can cram it with walnuts, ugly.
So if I'm wrong, I'll say it. And it's starting to look like I'm real wrong. He is not going to play week one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's barring something. I still think the door's open. I still think the door's open for this. If he goes out there,
it's like a crack.
He's going to have to really outperform Brissett. And both times it seems like that Maye had decent days, Brissett had better days. So he's already starting off behind the 8 ball. I think we all knew that.
And what about Joe Milton?
Joe Milton. I mean, obviously Joe Milton is the real starter
back
here.
Flipping down his neck.
Don't be surprised. But yeah, I mean, he's starting off behind the 8 ball. We know. I think we all sort of knew going into it what it would take for him, and he hasn't hit that yet. So yeah, I mean, there's not. Everyone says, "Oh, it's so early on," and it's not really. It's really not early anymore.
No,
We're 2 weeks in with practice, and the first game's less than a week away.
First game's less than a week away. There's a joint practice after that.
Preseason game,
right? But the first actual game against another team where you're out there under the lights playing football in the NFL. Yeah,
that's a game.
The first game. That's what
I
mean.
How nervous are you guys? Because we do spend so much time talking about the quarterback situation, who's going to start week one. How are you feeling about the offense overall? Because this might be the first day in pads that we've gotten where it's like not the offense completely sucking.
I've felt better about it all offseason. I compared to last year, I feel better about it.
Really?
Does that make sense? Yes. Then last year's offense, Mego? Yes.
I don't know. I kind of feel like we're stuck in this every single summer purgatory of the offense being completely stinky.
Well, last summer we thought that Bill O'Brien was going to fix everything. I mean, last summer.
Well, we did.
Maybe not all of us,
Jones
but
did not.
Not
sure.
we.
But that was sort of the consensus, is that things will get better from what they were with Judge and Patricia. I think even if you didn't think they were going to be great, they were going to be better than they were in year 2 with Mac Jones, and it was worse. I mean, it was obviously as dysfunctional as we've ever seen it, and Mac Jones completely fell apart. But I think at this time last year, Bill O'Brien was considered a major step up from Judge and Patricia, and it didn't end up being that. So I'm I'm hesitant to say I think it's going to be much better this year, too.
Okay. I didn't say much better, but I feel better about the offense this year.
Because of the receivers?
Partially because of even Brissett. Like, I don't like Brissett, and I don't want to watch Brissett this year, but Brissett will be better than Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't
I
think
think
in
Brissett will
like
be
the
better
most
than any of them.
meaningful
Right.
way.
So then that's better. Right. How meaningful it is, I don't know, but do I feel better about it? Yeah, I feel better about
But
it.
that's what I'm asking. Does any part of you feel good about it? Like, of course, you feel better than the complete disaster that you've seen the last 2 training camps. But do you feel optimistic about the offense?
I mean, I've said a bunch. I think they're going to win 6 games this year. So I think I feel more optimistic.
Woo!
But I feel more optimistic than most.